Chapter 89, Building a House. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Fang Hao checked the listed information and sent the transaction information. In the regional channel, the number of people chatting instantly decreased a lot. The number of rejuvenating springs listed on the shelves is rapidly decreasing. In less than 2 minutes, the 30 units of rejuvenation spring were all sold out. At this time, the regional channel only reboiled. Fuck, the boss is the boss, and now there is a tool to treat the injury. 30 units of rare resources, it's too dark. Today, it's all given to him. Slot. Give me yours if you think it's too expensive, and I'll give you 30 units of resources. The people who bought it are all injured and their lives are dying, so you still care about that. No, what are you talking about? What healing, what resources, what is Fang Hao selling? Don't look for it. A kind of spring water for treating injuries has been robbed long ago. I chatted with Fang Hao privately. The quantity of this kind of spring water is not high, and it can sell about 30 units per day. What spring? Mandatory mission this time. Basically every lord suffered some injuries. Everyone knows in their hearts that in this world, everyone is racing against time to survive, and what it means to be injured. Even if the injury does not worsen, it will delay the speed of his actions. The spring water that can restore the injury has played an irreplaceable role. It's just that the number of spring water produced by the rejuvenating spring well is limited, and he can't sell all the spring water at one time to prevent himself and ER from having a special situation. Therefore, in the face of private chat exchange people, he can only tell them, quantities are limited, so you can only wait until tomorrow to buy them. Disappointing many people, he secretly scolded himself for being slow and not grabbing the spring water. After dinner, it was still early. ER packed up the tableware. Fang Hao went straight to the tailor's shop. In the distance, you can see the skeleton tailors, busy with their work. Seeing Fang Hao coming, Sawyer, the tailor, greeted him. Sir, good evening. Good evening. When will the batch of clothes mentioned yesterday be completed? Fang Hao said. Sir, we are rushing to work, and it is expected to take 2 more days. Sawyer replied. Fang Hao was not in a hurry, he just came here and asked casually. Well, by the way, I plan to build some houses for you to rest and work. What do you think? Fang Hao stated his purpose. These skeleton cutters are also different from regular skeleton soldiers. Skeleton soldiers will only perform tasks rigidly, and they do not have their own independent thinking. Although the tailors are also recruited, they obviously have their own independent thinking. Then it can't be regarded as an ordinary skeleton, and it needs to provide some places to rest and work. These 100 people are spinning threads in the open air against the sun, which is not the case. Thank you for your kindness. It's better to make a place for us to work and rest. Sawyer said bluntly, the current situation really needs to be improved. Fang Hao took out the Book of Lords and moved to the building page. Yesterday, I received a drawing of a civilian house, just in time to make a house for the skeleton cutters. I probably discussed it with Sawyer. It was decided to build 30 houses, as well as a large factory. First-class house, wood 300, stone 180, thatch 120, hemp rope 80. Description: ordinary civil houses can be built, no special functions. Construction is complete. Raise the houses all up to level 4. The house has changed from an ordinary log cabin to a 2-story wooden building. From providing 2-person living, it has also become 4-person living. That's more than the number of cabins the skeleton cutters need. It doesn't matter, the place in the territory is big, and everyone can live more easily. Undead Tailor Sawyer's loyalty to you increases by 5 points, and the current loyalty is 85. The Undead Tailor Hao's loyalty to you increases by 5 points, and the current loyalty is 75. Undead Cutter. Houses are built, and the loyalty of the tailors is increased. As the captain, Sawyer's loyalty is higher, and now it has reached 85 points. The remaining skeleton cutters have also reached 75 loyalty. Loyalty is the link between the lord and the class. The higher the loyalty, the greater the efficiency and the less likely to betray. Loyalty is low, not only the arms will be slack, but in serious cases, they may defect, or do things that harm you. At that time, it will not be a problem of work efficiency, but a possible loss of life. Think about how the Lord Fang Hao came to know the seriousness. Sawyer. Fang Hao shouted. Sawyer was allocating houses to the skeleton cutters when he heard Fang Hao calling him and ran over immediately. Sir, you ordered. I don't have any blueprints for the workshop yet. I will arrange for someone to build one for you. The construction period may take a few days. Fang Hao said softly, without drawings, what you want to do needs to be built manually. Many lords did not have the blueprints for the city walls, so they let farmers build simple city walls from logs. This construction method is no different from the blueprint building itself. Only a few minutes of blueprint construction are completed, and upgrades can be made. However, for manual construction, the construction period will take several days or even months, and it is impossible to upgrade. Thank you, sir, we can wait and don't worry. Sawyer was still respectful. The last thing the Undead family is afraid of is waiting. They have a lot of time to waste. It is good. Fang Hao discussed the needs of the factory with Sawyer again. They arranged for labor skeletons to build factories in the open space next to the tailor's shop. Although the two were talking about a factory building, it was actually a flat warehouse with a relatively wide area. It can shelter from the wind and rain, and there is not much construction difficulty. Otherwise, it is too rare that they can't design it, nor can the labor skeleton build it, seeing that the factory starts to work. Fang Hao explained a few words and returned to the Lord's wooden house. Sit down on the bench and open the Book of Lords again. Newly obtained blueprints, as well as nightstand blueprints, wool carpet blueprints, animal skin backpack blueprints, and strong fishing rod blueprints. The first two do not need to be produced. There is no shortage, nor is it easy to sell. The fishing rod is also temporarily out of use, and the lack of time does not allow him to go fishing to kill time. On the contrary, the animal skin backpack has a certain effect on him. When I came to this world, I had no system space, nor did I encounter space rings, sleeves, etc., props to store items. He carries a scooter every time he goes out and has a simple homemade backpack himself, made of hide and twine. Now it is possible to rely on the Book of Lords to make an animal skin backpack. Animal skin backpack, leather 5, spinning thread 2. Description: a backpack with delicate workmanship, which can carry more items and reduce the user's load. Chapter 90, The Throne of Bones. You are listening at novelfold.audio. There are many in the spinning warehouse, the work of the skeleton cutters. It can also be used to make backpacks. Production quantity 1, make, triggered by 100 times increase. Get animal skin backpack 101. 1 by 1 leather backpacks appeared from the side and fell to the ground. Fang Hao picked one up and looked at it carefully. The backpack is brown, and the surface is treated and feels good to the touch. The leather stitching is spun thread stitching, strong and fine. Overall, I don't know how many times stronger than my previous backpack. Master, do you need to prepare bath water? Ear walked out of the wooden house and asked softly. Fang Hao felt it. Today's challenge task, indeed a lot of Han. Get ready. Fang Hao said again. Ear, take one of this backpack, it may be useful in normal times. Really? Thank you, Master. Ear happily picked up a backpack and examined it carefully. Ear was originally from a small tribe, and he had been a slave for a while, and suffered a lot. What he got, he seemed a little excited. The rest will be put in the warehouse. If anyone needs it, just go to the warehouse and get it. Fang Hao carried his backpack to his back. Good master. Ear returned her bag to her room and started to get busy. Congratulations, Lord, for completing the Nature's Revenge quest. Reward distribution, influence of all factions plus 50, influence of the faction plus 100, a treasure of the faction, a special architectural blueprint, and war coin plus 100. The sound of the system suddenly appeared, prompting the completion of this mandatory task. Fang Hao remembered that the end of the first trial mission was an announcement from the world, and the rewards were more generous than today. At that time, chat channels were very lively. Now it's a normal announcement, and you can only see the rewards you get. Fang Hao, who was about to get up and leave, sat down again. Check out your rewards. A faction treasure, Throne of Bones, purple, category, Throne, ability, Lord Undead skill effect plus 5%, all attributes of all undead units plus 12%, natural disaster loss in the territory minus 10%. Description: the bewildered dead need a leader with a bright mind and ambition big enough to make darkness cover the land. The throne of bones appeared before him, the gleaming white bones were as smooth as jade, the tall back is inlaid with several gems, the top of which is a semicircular gray gem, like a gray sun, casting darkness and death on the earth. Fang Hao got up and stroked lightly. It's as smooth and moist as jade, and it doesn't feel like touching the bones at all. Sitting on it, it feels pretty good, and it doesn't feel too cold, otherwise. He was really afraid of giving himself diarrhea. You guys, carry the throne into the hall. Fang Hao called in a few patrolling skeleton soldiers. The throne of bones is much larger than ordinary seats. The 6 soldiers worked together to lift it up, little by little, into the wooden house and put it in the conference hall on the first floor. For a long time, there were not many people in the territory. Fang Hao explained things, that is, he explained to Nelson and the others casually. The role of the chamber is also rarely reflected. The skeleton soldiers were lifted inward little by little. Ear was preparing bath water for Fang Hao, and stuck her head out, watching the excitement. When the white bone throne replaced the orc wooden seat and Fang Hao sat on it, a faint ripple swayed instantly, covering the entire territory. This means that the attributes of the throne have come into play. Wow, Master, this chair is so handsome. Isn't the gem worth a lot of money? Ear also came over, looking at the throne of bones with big eyes. The white bones of the throne should have been specially treated and looked more like jade bones. In addition, living with a bunch of undead every day makes me less afraid of bones. Low-key, you will be richer in the future. Fang Hao also turned his head and touched the largest gem at the top of the chair. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely worth the money, especially when it's so big. Oh. Ear said, and also stepped forward to touch the gem on the back of the chair. Fang Hao sat on the throne and continued to check the rewards. Next up are the architectural drawings. Magic Defense Tower. Type, Special Building, Place, Mage 0/3, requires the same attribute Mage. Ability, can cause magic damage to enemies within the range. Description, Berserk and Danger are always synonymous with magic. When they are released through the magic tower, they will have greater lethality. Required for construction, 500 hard and tough wood, 720 stone bricks, 220 metal parts, and 30 magic essence. It's actually a magic tower. There are already arrow towers in the territory, where archers can be placed to conduct long-range attacks on the enemy, but the biggest function of the arrow tower is to act as a watchtower to alert the enemies close to the city. In fact, the attack caused by the arrow tower is very limited. The addition of the magic defense tower fills the gap in attack power. The damage of the mage itself is strong. With the addition of 3 mage to operate the magic tower, the power must not be small. After reading the introduction, go out and build the magic tower before going to bed. Master, the bath water is ready, why don't you take a bath? Ear asked again. Come back soon. Fang Hao replied and walked out. Go under the city walls and build a magic defense tower on each wall. Without this mandatory mission, the materials would really not be enough. 4 rays of light rose at the same time, slowly forming a tower-shaped building. After 5 minutes, the light dissipated and the construction of the magic tower was completed. Compared with the towering arrow tower, the magic tower is much smaller. It is more like a magical fortress sitting on a defensive wall, with a faint light of lightning on the top. To each magic tower, go to 3 people. Fang Hao came to the team of necromancers and ordered. Several wizards sent by walked into the magic tower with their staffs in their bones. When entering, the attributes of the magic tower also change. The thunder light at the top turned black, and black lights flickered. This is based on the mage attribute of the operation, and the attack attribute of the magic tower also changes accordingly. Do what you can think of at hand. Fang Haozai returned to the Lord's wooden house and took a bath. Under the service of Ear, refreshed, he returned to his room to sleep and rest. Late at night, Yinfeng Fort, in the quiet sky, a light suddenly flashed, the light dissipated, and a man in a black robe appeared above Yinfeng Castle. Finally back. The man was halfway through his words, and when he saw the scene in front of him, he showed an unbelievable look, immediately closed his eyes and said to himself, "No, I just got dazzled, it must be the after effects of the teleportation scroll." The man muttered to himself for a while before slowly opening his eyes. What can come into view is still a piece of ruins and broken walls, rubble and tiles. Who demolished my castle? I want to kill you." The man growled loudly, showing his sharp fangs. Chapter 91, Blood Hunt. You are listening at Novelfold.audio. Late at night. The territory is still bright. The collected luminous stones were made into street lamps and set up on both sides of the road, as well as in important areas such as tailor shops and organ museums. The bright noctilucent stone made this city of the first scale covered with a faint light. Lord's chalet. Fang Hao was sleeping soundly. Boom. Suddenly, a thick bell rang throughout the territory. Fang Hao woke up suddenly, his heart pounding. Boom. The bell rang again. It was the bronze bell in the territory that was told. Fang Hao rolled over and got out of bed, not bothering to put on his clothes, put on the armor with his gloves, picked up the starfire staff on the weapon rack at the bedside, and walked out of the room. When the territorial bronze bell rings, it means that there is an enemy. Just walked out of the Lord's cabin, then I saw a figure flying above the territory, and the huge bat wings spread out, covering the bright moon. In the sky. Batman? Fang Hao said subconsciously. I almost thought that I had crossed again, but fortunately, Nelson walked towards him, and he was still in the territory. It's just that this image is too similar to what Batman looked like when he appeared. My lord, this should be the vampire of the Douya family. Nelson came over. Vampire? Fang Hao instantly thought of Undead Castle. In Undead Castle, I got a lot of information about vampires. It also made him understand that the Douya family represented vampires. Could this vampire have something to do with Undead Castle? Fang Hao thought in his heart, and also checked the other party's attributes at this time. Blood hunting Giovanni Hamadan, Blue 5th Order. That it's actually a Blue 5th Order hero. No wonder he dared to force his way into the territory alone. At this time, the necromancer in the territory, the mage defense tower, has already started a battle with the opponent. Magic missiles all over the sky, black lightning of defense towers. The scene was extremely shocking, and the blood hunter Giovanni, relying on his flexible flying ability, and the defense in the territory, fought back and forth. It seems that he is more difficult to deal with. Fang Hao commented softly. Fang Hao recruited 10,000 necromancers in order to cope with the mandatory mission. This number of mages attacked at the same time, and the density of the missiles was like a large net flying towards the vampire, but the opponent can always easily avoid it by virtue of its flying ability and efficient maneuverability, then wait for an opportunity to counterattack. The necromancer team can't help the vampire, and the vampires can't hurt the necromancer and magic. Defense tower below, and below there is a skeleton hero holding a long blade, and a dense number of skeleton melee arms. The vampires dare not fall down and engage in melee combat. The two sides are so connected, and neither of them can do anything to each other. After Giovanni in the air avoided a fiery swordlight, he suddenly caught a glimpse of two figures talking in the territory, a human, and a skeleton that looks crumpled. Standing in front of the ruling hall means that the two have a special identity, and may even be the administrator of the city. It's useless to kill these low-level, huge numbers of skeletons by yourself. It is better to kill the leader directly, and then use the advantage of his own flight to leave. Thinking of this, after avoiding magic, Giovanni closed the bat wing, and the whole person swooped down from the air and attacked the location of the two. Seeing the vampire rushing towards him, Fang Hao felt a little nervous, raised the staff, and summoned the amulet to protect yourself. Nelson reached out to stop Fang Hao at this time. It's good for adults to watch the battle. Saying that, the staff in his hand hit the ground heavily. Boom! The next second, Nelson's whole body aura suddenly changed. Fang Hao, who had a foundation in magic, could feel that terrifying magic fluctuations erupted from Nelson's hunched body. The magic elements in the surrounding space quickly converged on his body. The ground beneath his feet also began to change, and the rested and flat ground continued to churn like boiling water. Nelson's withered fingers pointed at the vampire who was rushing in quickly. Suddenly, the earth rose up like a tsunami and rushed into the sky. The blood hunter Giovanni rushed in quickly, and his face changed instantly when he saw the mud rushing towards him like waves. The bat wing opened again, slowed down, turned his head and wanted to escape, but it's all too late. The mud had already wrapped around his ankles and spread rapidly throughout his body. Like a cocoon wrapped by a spider, it wraps the whole body. This is Nelson's skill. Thick burial. Boom. With a muffled sound, the clod fell and landed in front of Fang Hao and Nelson. The soil at the top squirmed to the sides, revealing a pale face. When Giovanni saw the two, his face instantly became extremely ugly. he never thought that there was such a powerful undead hero in this undead territory. A pair of blood-red eyes looked around, looking at the human beings in surprise. He also looked at the undead corpse which. When did humans mix with the undead? So powerful, why did the undead corpse which that can kill him in seconds appear in this small city? All this is revealed to be inconsistent with common sense. At the same time, I regret even more in my heart, why did I come here alone? But it was too late to say anything at this time, and he could only find a way to deter the other party. I don't care if you are undead or human, I am Giovanni Hamadan, a pure nobleman of Hamadan. If you don't want to die, let me go immediately. Giovanni broke free and said loudly. Fang Hao was stunned for a moment, and looked at Nelson with a puzzled face. Listening to the other party's tone, he revealed his own family, which seemed to have a lot of background. It's a pity that I met a lord like Fang Hao who just came here. Don't talk about a family, even if it is a king, he doesn't know who it is. Stop talking nonsense with me, I don't care what family you are, whether it is pure or not, why did you force your way into my territory? Fang Hao said loudly, what is pure or not, in my hometown, the purity of the variety is only checked when breeding, this kind of words won't work for him here. Giovanni snorted coldly, glanced at Fang Hao and said, boy, pay attention to your identity, you are not qualified to question me. He is very clear, the powerful one in the territory was the undead corpse which on the side, not the weak human being in front of him. I only think that this human is just a vassal or servant of the undead. Fang Hao frowned. Nelson, let him be more honest. Okay, my lord. After Nelson said a word, his body waved again with magical power. The next second, the soil wrapped around Giovanni's body began to tighten little by little, and there was a sound of crunching and breaking of bones. Ah! You're crazy, you undead, what are you doing to listen to what humans say? Giovanni screamed in pain, and looked at the undead corpse angrily. Compared with undead and humans, vampires and undead are closer. He couldn't understand why a powerful corpse would follow a weak human being. Finally, I'm asking you, why did you attack my territory? Fang Hao narrowed his eyes and his voice was gloomy. Giovanni also suddenly felt a chill down his spine, and a trace of fear rose in his heart. He can be sure that if he keeps his mouth shut, the other party will definitely shut him up forever, even if he has already reported his family. Cough. You don't pretend to be garlic. Did you take the things in my ancient castle? You are so immoral. You stole things and smashed the house. Giovanni became more and more angry, and subconsciously began to growl. Chapter 92, Recovery. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Speaking of this, Giovanni's anger rose again. Vampires have long lives. Giovanni has the blood of Hamilton, but because of his unruly character, he has caused a lot of trouble. Greed and bloodthirsty, plundering and stealing, made Giovanni a bad reputation among the various races. As long as it is Niwar's fancy, whether it is objects or life, he will try his best to get it. Blood hunting also came from this. The life of a vampire is extravagant. The Undead castle is a palace of Giovanni. Whether it is the building or the many items in it, they are the items he has accumulated over the years. The location of Undead fort was also carefully selected by him. The forces who wanted him were not easy to find here, and would not disrupt his normal life, but who would have thought? He only left for a while, and when he came back, not only the items in the castle were gone, but even the castle was ripped off for him. Who can endure this kind of thing? When Fang Hao's territory was discovered, it was another group of low-level undead creatures, and they attacked with anger. He wants to tear apart all the people here, whether human or undead, but in the end, I didn't expect that there was a powerful undead hero in Lidi. Defeat him in an instant. Fang Hao looked at the angry Giovanni with the same expression, but he was also somewhat embarrassed. He thought that Undead castle was just a copy of the abandoned house, and the dust inside the castle also proved that no one lived for a long time. What Fang Hao thought at the time was that no one had lived there for so long, and no one would come back for a while. At that time, after waiting for a few years, the owner of the ancient castle will return, and his own territory will also develop, so he will not be afraid of the other party. But in just a few days, the other party came to the door. Moreover, he even smashed the castle for the other party, and there was not a single hair left. Fang Hao was silent, but Giovanni was emboldened and said loudly, let me go immediately and compensate me for all my losses, or wait for the anger of the Hamadan family. Giovanni was full of confidence in his family. The small city in front of him, the Hamadan family, can easily be destroyed. When the other party lets him go, he must find an opportunity to capture this human being and become his blood slave. His blood was drawn every day, and he was tortured little by little. Hearing Giovanni's threat, Fang Hao shook his head with a wry smile. Not to mention that the items that he scavenged from the castle are almost sold, they are simply unable to repay the other party's losses. Even if there is, he will not make compensation. The rules that this world believes in are not reasonable. There is only one rule here, that is, the supremacy of force, and everything is based on your ability to deter the opponent. With Giovanni's character, if he discovers his territory first, he will not only loot it, but he will not even think about living. At the same time, I am fortunate to have obtained a golden hero like Nelson. Are there any of your clan nearby? Fang Hao approached and asked in a low voice. Hearing Fang Hao's words, Giovanni's heart tightened and he felt something was wrong. Immediately changed his tone and said, "Don't mess around, we can solve it in a more peaceful way. Isn't it just an old castle? I won't pursue this matter, those items are considered gifts for friends." Giovanni was not stupid, and naturally felt that Fang Hao did not intend to let him go. Immediately stated that he would not pursue it and ease the relationship between the two parties. Fang Hao is not stupid, he will not believe Giovanni's words. He let Giovanni leave, so that he could go back and mobilize the power of his family. Don't be kidding, Fang Hao believes that he can still grow 5 centimeters, and he doesn't believe that Giovanni will swallow this breath. Don't worry, it won't be too painful. Welcome to the Undead camp. Fang Hao once again showed an easygoing smile. Are you crazy? You, this small city, can't resist the anger of my family. I advise you not to do stupid things. Giovanni's face was already terrified. Vampires have long lives, can enjoy life for countless years. When death comes, they show more fear. Fang Hao did not speak. Nelson waved his hand slightly, and the soil wriggled, covering Giovanni's mouth and nose again. I'll leave it to you. Fang Hao said softly. Nelson nodded slightly and continued, a pure-blood clan may have some unexpected gains. With a light wave of his hand, 2 skeleton soldiers came over, raised the soil-bound Giovanni high into the organ museum. It took Nelson 5 days to transform Fireblade into an undead hero last time. This time, I don't know how many days it will take to transform Giovanni into a skeleton hero. Nelson left. Fang Hao also yawned and returned to the Lord's cabin to rest. The next morning, Fang Hao woke up from his sleep. Rubbing his eyes, he went downstairs, and as soon as he reached the entrance of the stairs, he bumped into Yi, who was going upstairs. Yi lost her balance instantly and hugged Fang Hao tightly. Intimate contact, you can feel the softness of Yi's body. Master Nelson is waiting for you at the door. Yi said hurriedly, standing still. N. Fang Hao agreed and walked downstairs. As soon as he walked out of the door, he saw Nelson sitting on a bench with a viscera jar glowing with a faint blue light. Morning, Nelson. Fang Hao walked over with a smile. Nelson saw Fang Hao come out, got up and said, Good morning, Lord. Nelson has a special status in the territory, not only the first hero under Fang Hao's command. Knowledge and ability are very strong. In particular, you can make enemy heroes into your own skeleton heroes, simply magic. Is something wrong with me? Fang Hao continued to ask. Well, Lord, please look at this. Nelson handed over the organ jar in his hand. Fang Hao has touched the organ tank, bought from the skeleton merchant. Although I know it is used to hold human internal organs, I have never used it, and I don't know how to use it. But the organ tank in front of him was different. The one I bought was empty, and the organ tank in front of me had already been used. Organ tank. Category, container, ability, resuscitation. Resuscitation, a visceral jar with rejuvenation characteristics, which replenishes the health of combatants. Description, the organ jars with special abilities can be placed in the organ museum, so that the troops have special abilities. This. Fang Hao frowned slightly when he looked at the properties of the viscera jar. There are 2 empty organ jars in the warehouse. How can I start with a heavy one now, and it also has attributes, not the 2 of you. My lord, the vampire's organ is sealed in the organ jar, and it already has special abilities. Nelson said softly. Fang Hao's heart moved. Can the corpses of heroes be sealed in organ jars? Thinking about it, it doesn't seem right. As the first skeleton hero to be transformed, the flaming blade has not been sealed. Fang Hao couldn't figure it out, so he asked directly, is there any requirements for organ storage? Or is there any way to say it? Nelson made a gesture of invitation. Lord, please, I will explain to you on the way. Chapter 93, Suspended Trading. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two walked side by side towards the organ museum. On the way, Nelson also made an answer. Lord, the organ jar is a very great invention of the Undead family. It uses incantation to seal up the powerful power, and bless this power on the troops. Fang Hao nodded knowingly, asked again, what are the requirements for this kind of storage? I mean, can anyone use the organ jar for storage after death? That this made Fang Hao a little curious. The organ jar is an item with unlimited potential, just like playing the skill cards in the game. Matching different cards to the troops can provide special effects. Let the original ordinary troops can play a variety of changes. Fang Hao also took a fancy to this, and attached great importance to the organ tank. No, only people with ancient blood or special talents can seal. Nelson continued to introduce. This also reminded Fang Hao of Giovanni last night. He kept talking about his family and his heritage. It seems that his family has a special bloodline. The two walked and chatted and came to the organ museum. Entering the hall, I immediately felt a cold aura, which made people tremble. In the organ museum, various microscopic buildings are displayed. There are burial grounds, catacombs, corridors of the dead, necromancer towers, and magic defense towers. These buildings belong to the undead camp, and special buildings are not included. In front of each building, there is a circular groove, the size of which is the same as the size of the organ tank. Nelson continued, Sir, as long as the organ jar is placed in the corresponding area, the power of the organ jar will be blessed on the troops. After saying that, he handed the organ jar back to Fang Hao's hand. Fang Hao thought for a while, and put the organ jar that revives the power into the groove of the burial ground. Click. As if touching the mechanism, the organ jar in the groove sank and sank, leaving only the skull jar lid leaking out. A faint ray of light dissipated in an instant, and the attributes of the soldiers buried in the bones also changed. Skull soldiers, first order, faction, undead, racial characteristics, undead, hollow skeleton, light weakness. Skill, shield strike, blessed skill, recovery. Inherent ability, primary combat proficiency, primary swordsmanship proficiency, primary shield proficiency. Note, the skeleton soldiers who took up their weapons held high their jagged bone arms. They were beginning to fight, but they were still fragile, and it was difficult to resist the continuous attack of the enemy. The boneyard is the barracks of the undead camp. At present, although only Tier 1 troops can be recruited, it is the most suitable building to revive this ability. Resuscitation allows units to continue to regenerate health during combat. Compared with cavalry and mages, the infantry who are facing head-to-head needs this ability more. Okay, the power of the organ tank has been blessed by the troops. I have to continue my work, and I will stay here for the next few days. Nelson continued, it takes a certain amount of time to make a skeleton hero. It took 5 days for the fire blade last time, and I am afraid it will not be short this time. It's hard work, bachelor. This is my duty, Lord. After walking out of the organ museum, Ear had already prepared breakfast. While Fang Hao was enjoying the food, the pig-headed man with the carriage entered the city. According to the plan, today is the time to go to the Manim market and deliver the copper cattle. The pig-headed people took the team and 120 people to set off early and rush to Fang Hao's territory. Lord. Bolton saluted everyone. Well, you sit down for a while, I will arrange for someone to go to the warehouse to load the goods. Fang Hao said. After that, let the skeleton soldiers go directly to the warehouse with the carriage. The pig-headed man stayed where he was and waited. It wasn't Bolton's first time here, but many of the other pigheads were, facing the layers of skeleton soldiers, sitting on a chair. His calves were shaking uncontrollably. Skeleton soldiers were already patrolling from far away from the city. The closer you get, the more skeleton soldiers there are, layer after layer. It has gotten to the point where it's Terrifying. At this time, Ear brought some fruits over. Bolton stood up again, his attitude still respectful. Miss Ear. Well, good morning, Bolton. Ear also greeted cheerfully. The two have met a few times and are familiar with each other. Putting the fruit in front of the pig-headed man, Ear continued to return to the wooden house to clean the room. Outside the warehouse, 30 wagons parked next to the warehouse. Among them, 20 were brought by the pig-headed people, and 10 were raised in the territory stables. Of course, there is no equipment in the warehouse. He just wants to avoid so many people and use the Book of Lords to make it. Open the Book of Lords and turn to the crafting page. Plate armor, leather 12, iron 6, iron plate 4. Gauntlets, leather 5, iron 3, iron plate 2. Both quantities are adjusted to 30, triggered by 100 times increase, get 3030 plate armor. Triggered by a 100-fold increase, obtain 3030 gauntlets. Dang, dang. Pieces of equipment appeared, filling the surrounding open space. The plate armor collided and rolled, making a crashing sound. Load the car. Fang Hao ordered. The accompanying skeletons moved into action and put the plate armor and gauntlets on the car. After everything was loaded into the car, he walked out with the convoy. Bolton and the others were still sitting there waiting. Seeing Fang Hao coming out, he immediately greeted him. Okay, let's go. Yes, my lord. The pig-headed people took over the position of the driver. After putting the rejuvenation spring produced overnight on the shelves, the convoy drove out of the territory in a mighty manner, heading towards the Manan market. This time, Fang Hao brought 30,000 skeleton soldiers and 120 pig-headed men. Territory Ear and Horan were the housekeepers and did not leave with them. After a few hours' journey, the Manan market can be seen in the distance. All the skeleton soldiers were stationed in the distance and continued to move forward with a group of pig-headed people. There have been previous contacts. The Tauren Fang Hao was also familiar with it, and after a simple inspection of the goods, he released it directly. Come to the chief's hall and ask all the goods to be handed over to the Tauren. Chief Terok, I haven't seen you for a few days. Fang Hao greeted with a smile. Bronze Bull Tylok also laughed and said, it's been a few days. Fang Hao, that with a pair of bull's eyes, he carefully looked at Fang Hao again. In just a few days, 6,000 pieces of equipment can be delivered. This is simply unbelievable, and even somewhat inexplicable. The two chatted. Not long after, a Tauren guard came in and whispered a few words in Tong Nyo's ear. The copper bull nodded, and the guards retreated again. Fang Hao friend, I am very satisfied with this transaction. The person who waited for me is paying you. Tong Nyo said like a bell. Well, it's good that Chief Terok is satisfied. I still look forward to the cooperation in the future. Fang Hao continued. The two transactions with Tong Nyo can be said to have made Fang Hao's ability very useful. Relying on a 100-fold increase, he can easily earn war fire coins. Therefore, he hopes to continue to cooperate with Tong Nyo and get more war coins. Hearing Fang Hao's words, Tong Nyo's face was solemn. Wang Xing said, Fang Hao friend, perhaps our cooperation should be suspended first. Why? Fang Hao frowned. Tong Nyo thought about it, and decided to say something. You're from the west, can you see that there's a city of undead there? Chapter 94, Slave Traders. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Tong Nyo's expression was solemn, and Fang Hao's brows were instantly furrowed. He never thought that the Copper Bull would mention the city of the dead on the west side of Manan Market. Needless to say, it refers to its own territory. Is there something that has to do with your own territory? With curiosity in his heart, Fang Hao continued, there is a city of the dead. What's the problem? It seems that your territory is not far from the city of the dead. You'd better take advantage of this time to move the city farther away, otherwise it may be affected. Tong Nyo continued. Fang Hao's brows furrowed deeper, and his heart was also a little nervous. Spread, this has to be reminiscent of war. I even started to associate in my mind that what happened recently in the territory could cause a war. Even in the Manan Market, they have to worry about whether it will affect them, and suspend cooperation first. Is it because last night, the news that he killed the vampire was revealed? What is the Hamilton family trying to trouble themselves? No, given the circumstances at the time, the vampire was given a uniform by Nelson and sent to the Organ Museum without giving him a chance to fart. There's no chance at all to get the message out. should not be an unknown sense of threat surrounded Fang Hao's heart, disturbing. Chief Tylok, it's not a trivial matter to move the city, at least you can tell me why, and I can explain to everyone when I go back. Fang Hao continued. Tong Nyo fell silent. It seems that there is something hidden in it, and it is inconvenient to say more. The hall was quiet for a while before Tong Nyo took a serious look at Fang Hao and continued, okay, there is a skull-broken tribe in the land of cold wind, and there is news that they are preparing to go to that undead city. Start a war. Orc tribe? Fang Hao asked. Orcs, not vampires, generally become tribesmen. Yes, a powerful and brutal tribe. Tong Nyo shook his head slightly. It seems that this skull-broken tribe, even a powerful hero like Tong Nyo, is deeply afraid. Then how many troops will this skull-broken tribe send, and how are the heroes? Fang Hao continued to ask. Tong Nyo glanced at Fang Hao curiously and shook his head slightly. These are still unclear, but Skull Smash is notoriously brutal and murderous. As a human being, you may be more dangerous. Too much intelligence, Copper Bulls, don't know much. Being able to remind Fang Hao that the cooperation during this period was relatively smooth, and I don't want Fang Hao to be affected in this battle and lose his life, but Tong Nyo didn't know that the city of the dead in his mouth was Fang Hao's territory. He couldn't escape no matter what. Fang Hao took a deep breath and continued, okay, I will think about it when I go back. The two continued to chat. The inventory of equipment was completed, and a large box of war coins was also sent in. A loud bang was placed in front of Fang Hao. Get 180,000 war fire coins. Slowly, a large box of coins was placed in front of Fang Hao. This mana market, as a trading market for all tribes in this area, has accumulated so much wealth. The reserves of war coin have reached an astonishing level. I am afraid that even the large tribes cannot compare with the coin reserves of the Copper Bulls. This also made Fang Hao notice that if he could form a market himself, would it also have this effect? I got the final payment this time, and Tong Nyo has no new orders. The two chatted for a while and then left. Fang Hao let Bolton in, carrying a box full of war coins, and loaded it into a carriage. Go out of the Hall of the Chiefs. A tall and burly evil beast walked towards him. He was wearing a wide robe all over his body. The thick fingers are full of gemstone rings. A thumb-thick gold chain around his neck. The sun shone brightly, blinding people, completely a portrait of a nouveau riche and showing off his wealth. Good afternoon, human friends, I didn't expect us to meet again. The orcs greeted him warmly. Fang Hao looked at the other party carefully. It is difficult for him to identify the differences in the appearance of the orcs. If there are no special characteristics, he will think that the orcs of a race are all the same, and it is impossible to tell who is who. But as soon as he walked out of the chief's hall, he saw the other party coming towards him. Rather than meeting, he felt that the orc was waiting for him. Good afternoon, what's the matter? Fang Hao asked curiously. The orc coughed lightly, turned the big ring on his finger slightly, and said softly when he got closer, my friend, how does the rabbit people feel? It's not bad, right? Fang Hao frowned and instantly thought of this orc. He was the slave trader from before, who used the iron sword that Ear exchanged in his own hands. Do you have anything to do with me? Fang Hao took a step back, avoiding his tone. Hey, my friend, I have another batch of goods here. The procedures are complete. Would you like to take a look? The orc took a step forward. You are so strong, a rabbit man will definitely not satisfy you. Compared with the orcs, Fang Hao's physique can only be said to be thin. With a meaningful smile on his face, he can also understand what the other party wants to express. Fang Hao thought about it. There is indeed a shortage of manpower in the territory, he said softly. Bolton, bring a few people with me, let's go and see with him. Yes, my lord. Bolton replied respectfully. 20 people were immediately selected to follow Fang Hao, while the rest guarded the cash box. When the slave trader heard Fang Hao's agreement, he immediately showed a happy expression on his face. Friend, please come with me. Said, with a few people, walked towards the market. Friend, you don't know. In this area, our team's products are highly praised. Many tribes trade with us all year round. If you need it, we can also deliver the goods directly to your territory. As the orcs led the way, they chattered about the introduction, proved that their supply is sufficient, and they also provide home delivery. This kind of slave trader has never been a small force of 3 or 5 people, being able to capture slaves everywhere. There is a lot of power behind it. It is even one of the businesses of a large tribe itself. You also do business with humans? Fang Hao followed behind and asked. When I came to this world, I had come into contact with orcs, vampires, and undead, but I had never seen any native humans. Yes, of course. The orc glanced at Fang Hao, and immediately said again, but don't worry, we don't sell humans. Hey, don't worry. That I don't know where I thought, and suddenly made an explanation, going all the way, soon came to the place where the slaves were parked. The old warehouse is full of pungent odor, as if walking into the sewer. Involuntarily, he covered his mouth and nose. The warehouse is huge and covered with black iron cages, which are covered with oil-stained black linen, blocking the view. Dozens of fully armed orcs are guarding the warehouse. Dear friend, please take a look. The orc said, and lifted the sackcloth. Chapter 95, Buying Slaves. You are listening at novelfold.audio. The orc slave trader slammed down the broken bra that covered the iron cage with rust and oil stains exposed, and the rabbit people in the iron cage. These bunny men are all female, with tattered fabrics barely able to cover key parts of their bodies, curled in the corner, trembling uncomfortably. The orc slave trader boasted, my friend, these are the young and healthy bunny people selected. Whether they are working or as pets, they are all good choices. Where can I find obedient and capable slaves, do you think so? The slave trader knows best what human beings do when they buy bunny girls. If you really want to choose working slaves, you won't choose these bunny people with little strength. Fang Hao didn't speak, but walked around the cage, looking at the rabbit people who were applying numbness and some scars. He said, are you sure these are all healthy? That the slave in front of him doesn't look very healthy, and he's not as agile as Ear. Slave trader, listen. He picked up the stick in his hand, knocked hard on the iron fence a few times, and scolded, give me some energy. If I can't sell it, I will bury it all for you tonight. The iron cage made a harsh noise, causing those curled up bodies to move slightly. Friends, you know, in order to make them honest and can't feed them too full, they are all hungry, not sick. The slave trader continued to explain, in order not to make the slaves too energetic, they all control the food they supply, and they are in a state of not starving to death, but also unable to run. My friend, these slaves are young and obedient. When you don't need them, you can sell them. They will never lose money, and... The slave trader kept talking and selling hard. These slaves, according to the original plan, were originally shipped to the human city for sale, and they were intended to sell for a good price, but recently it has been rumored that there is going to be a war between the large tribes in the east, and the entire region may be affected. This had to make them change their plans, sell all these slaves as soon as possible. While staying at the Mana Market, I met the human who bought the bunny man last time. Then he put his attention on Fang Hao. In any case, let the humans in front of you buy these slaves, otherwise you will lose money. My friend, how is it? Do you want to buy these bunny girls? The orc slaver said that his mouth was dry, and he asked again, licking his dry lips. Fang Hao looked at the rabbit man in the cage and then at the slave trader. He hesitated. What about the price? Hey, the old price, 60 war coins per person. The slave trader said with a smile, when I sold Ear, I exchanged 60 short swords. The same price was offered at this time. I also think that Fang Hao can accept it. After all, there have been previous transactions, but Fang Hao shook his head slightly. For a slave, you sell 60 war fire coins. If you want the price, don't talk about it. Keep these slaves for yourself. Iron sword exchange and war coins are not the same concept. 60 iron swords, in Fang Hao's place, is only the consumption of 1 iron sword, and the war coins are only 1 piece, so they can't be faked. Seeing Fang Hao's reaction, the slave trader was also slightly taken aback. The price that was traded before, how could it be turned upside down? Look, this was the price before. These slaves are definitely worth this price. The slave trader continued. Fang Hao was unmoved, and said directly, 1 price, 10 war coins per person, a total of 42 people will give you 400 coins, that's fine. No, let's not waste each other's time. That won't work, we don't make any money at all, the slave trader said loudly. the value of the slave itself is not high, especially if the physique is not strong. A thin and hairless waste bunny man is simply not worthy of being an orc. It can't be sold in the orc tribe at all, only when it is shipped to the human city can a higher price be earned. But Fang Hao's attitude, it gives people a feeling that they are not very interested and can buy or not. This made the slave trader somewhat uncertain. This batch of goods must be sold, but the price is really too low. Just when the slave trader hesitated and thought about the price increase in his mind, Fang Hao turned his head and left. This made the slave trader suddenly startled. "Sell, my friend, I sold it." Fang Hao stopped when he heard the slave trader talk about selling. "Bolton, give him the money." Bolton took out 400 war coins in his backpack and handed them to the slave trader. After taking the money, the slave trader handed the slave contract to Fang Hao, 42 in total. From this moment on, these rabbit girls belong to Fang Hao. "Okay, give me some energy, this human being will be your master from now on." The slave trader roared loudly, driving every slave out of the cage and standing in front of Fang Hao. "This is an important step, make it clear to buyers that the slaves they buy have no disabilities." The bunny girls stood in a row, and as the slave trader said, these selected bunny girls were young and fit for human requirements. He lowered his head, his ears were drooping, and he looked listless. The shabby clothes barely covered the plump breasts and upturned buttocks. Simple actions can reveal a large scenery. Fortunately, the aesthetics of the orcs are different, otherwise these rabbit women would hardly appear here. "Take them to the truck and prepare food for them," Fang Hao ordered. "Yes, my lord." Bolton immediately arranged for someone to escort these newly bought slaves to the place where the carriage was parked. Solve the slave problem. The orc slave trader was still lighting the war coins in his hand. "In the future, if there are such orcs, both men and women can sell them to me at the same price or pay with an iron sword." Fang Hao said softly. The slave trader who was counting the war coins was slightly taken aback. With a strange look, he confirmed again, "Do you want a male rabbit man too?" That I secretly thought in my heart, this human being is really good at playing. I want it. Not only the rabbit people, but other orcs that are close to humans. I want those who are obedient and easy to manage. I have a large territory that needs to be developed. Can you understand what I mean? Fang Hao patted lightly his shoulders. "Oh. I understand, I understand." The slave trader replied subconsciously, not knowing whether he really understood or falsely understood. Immediately afterwards, he immediately said, "There has been some chaos in this area recently, and the slave affairs may be delayed for a while." "Well, when will the slaves be sent, and when will I give you money?" Fang Hao was not in a hurry. "Okay, since that's the case, I'll give you a gift as a gift for long-term cooperation." The slave trader took out a conch from his arms and handed it to Fang Hao. Fang Hao held it in his hand and asked curiously, "What is it, a conch shell?" "My friend, this is the sound transmission conch, which is a simple and easy-to-use prop for transmitting messages." The orc slave trader explained. Transmission conch, description, can be used to receive messages from a mother conch. The sound transmission conch is divided into child and mother conch. The mother conch speaks, and the child conch can listen. That is to say, the gift that the orcs gave Fang Hao was just to contact him when he had the goods, and the rest was useless. This orc is quite shrewd and can do business. Fang Hao put away the conch, and after chatting with the orc, he turned and left. Chapter 96, Fighting Tooth Girl. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Saying goodbye to the slave traders, Fang Hao went directly to the tavern. Push open the tavern door. There was still a lot of noise in the pub. Orcs of various races, drinking and chatting, shouted loudly. It is not the first time for Fang Hao to come here, and the old man in the tavern is also familiar with him. "What to drink?" asked the tavern boss. Fang Hao came to the tavern to supplement the seasoning of the territory, and also to see if there was a new single-page map. "Honey bar, prepare some of the seasoning for me last time." Fang Hao sat down at the front desk and said softly. "Okay, wait a minute." The boss wiped his hands with a rag and began to prepare what Fang Hao needed. Fang Hao looked at the notice board on the side. Some things are usually registered here, such as some clan bounty lists, or maps brought by various caravans. the map of Mine Cave and Ogre Stronghold that Fang Hao obtained last time was obtained from here. There is still a one-page map today. Map, unknown cave. Category, single-page map, description. A map drawn by a traveling merchant, recording the route and topography of the unknown ruins. What, are you interested in maps? The Tauren boss walked back and put the meat in front of Fang Hao. Well, I want the map and these slave contracts. Fang Hao said directly. The price of this map is higher, with 3 war fire coins and 1 war fire coin for each slave contract. Just give them at the checkout. The boss said. Fang Hao nodded, drinking mead while chatting with the boss. Mead is not to the taste of an adult orc. Judging by the beastman's preference for alcohol, mead could be considered a sweet drink at most. Drinking the mead, Fang Hao suddenly thought of the essence of the giant wine barrel drawing that he had obtained before, and the crafting materials were 2 wines worse. Otherwise, you can open a pub yourself. A pair of eyes glanced at the Tauren boss, and asked curiously, Boss, do you have the essence of wine here? The essence of wine? What are you doing here? The boss asked in surprise. Seeing the surprised expression of the boss, Fang Hao was sure that the tavern must have it. Make something and sell me too. Fang Hao said directly. There are 2 in the warehouse, 1 for 50 war fire coins. Do you want to buy it? The Tauren said uncertainly. 50 apiece, it's really not cheap. Even if Fang Hao did 2 deals with Tong Niu, the boss was not sure if Fang Hao would be willing to buy it. After all, the essence of 2 wines, 100 war coins can hire an orc team. Deal, just give it to me with the seasoning. Fang Hao readily agreed. It is good. The boss didn't talk too much. He happily agreed and told the bartender to prepare. Just when Fang Hao was drinking and waiting for the boss to prepare the goods, the poker game at the next table caught Fang Hao's attention. It's a poker-like game of dominoes and dice that ultimately decides who wins or loses. The winner collects the money, and the loser curses loudly. Damn, it's really bad luck. At this moment, a curse sounded on the gambling table, and the dominoes in his hand were thrown directly on the table. This is a girl with animal ears. She is not tall, but she is very conspicuous in the tavern. The silver hair hangs down from the right side to the shoulder, while the temples on the other side are shaved extremely short, making the furry animal ears more clear. The upper body is a brown leather tube top, which is exposed on the thin waist, and the abdominal muscles and vest line can be seen. The lower body is slim leather pants that are close to the skin, which fully reflects the strong and long legs, slim waist and back, thin and strong but full of wildness. The girl threw the dominoes in her hand on the table. Her face was full of anger, and she loudly cursed the luck of the day. The rest of the people watched with a smile and put away the money they had won. Just when there was nowhere to vent his anger, he turned his head and met Fang Hao's gaze. Fang Hao's heart tightened, and he turned his head immediately, pretending to look at the antler chandelier on the ceiling. Even so, his movement still caught the attention of the white-haired girl. He kicked off the stool next to him and went straight to Fang Hao to sit down. Human boy, what did you just look at? The girl sat beside her carelessly and asked. Look at random. What's wrong? What's the matter? Fang Hao said. Fang Hao also secretly thought that he was unlucky. It's not that she was afraid of the white-haired girl, but she felt like she was watching the fun and finally getting burned. And Jia, he's a guest of Chief Terok. Don't make trouble here. Boss Nyoto said aside. It turned out that the name of the white-haired girl was Jia. Hearing the words of Boss Nyoto, Jia took another look. His big eyes rolled around, but instead he showed a smile, put his head closer and said, I just lost the money in my hand. Give me 200 gold coins. If I win, I will give it back to you, and if I lose, I will accompany you. You 3 days, let you do what you want. How about it? Fang Hao's eyes widened instantly, and he looked at the white-haired girl in front of him in surprise. The woman's attitude changed so quickly, and she spoke so directly. I always feel like there is something wrong with the other person's mind. And Jia, go play your cards, don't bother the guests. Boss Nyoto continued, but the girl didn't take the boss's words seriously. He continued, how about it? Don't think about it. The people around also began to snicker and whisper, waiting to see what happened next. 200 gold is enough for me to find 20 similar to yours. Why should I lend it to you? Fang Hao said. He just bought a group of bunny people, and they look good, 200 gold for 3 days, even if the other party really accompanies him for 3 days, this is not a cost-effective transaction. Humph. I'm a hero, not ordinary people. 200 is too little for you. And Jia snorted coldly, her tone a little dissatisfied. This time, Fang Hao was even more surprised. Check the other party's properties immediately. Douya, blue tier 7 hero, truly a hero. No wonder this human-looking orc dared to be arrogant and domineering in the tavern, and no one stopped him. The tavern owner, seeing that she came to trouble Fang Hao, he could only hold out the copper bull Tylock to crush her. But, what race is this girl? So arrogant and provocative, leopard? How is it? It's cool to have a hero with you for 3 days. 200 gold is not a loss, right? And Jia said with a smile, tavern, hero. Fang Hao touched his chin and nodded slightly. It feels good, you won't regret it then, right? When I talk to Njia, I never regret it. Njia continued. Okay, I agree. I don't have any beast head gold, so I'll give you war fire coins. Fang Hao took out 40 war fire coins and pushed them in front of Njia. Okay, wait for me to make a fortune for you. Njia picked up the war coins and walked back to the gaming table, shouting loudly, come on, let's see if my mother doesn't give you a win. Then, the people in the circle continued the game just now. Front desk, Boss Nyoto sighed slightly and said, forget it, save money and avoid disaster, and save Njia from continuing to trouble you. Kindness. Hearing the boss's words, Fang Hao looked at the gaming table again. It seems that the card luck of this Njia girl is notoriously bad here. Chapter 97, Where to Run. You are listening at novelfold.audio. This girl Njia dares to make trouble in the city? Fang Hao asked in a low voice. The Manim market has special rules, no one shall plunder or fight in the city. This is also the reason why Fang Hao, a human being, dares to walk around the city swaggeringly. Even if this girl Njia is a hero, she is only blue, but her strength is a little worse than that of Tongnyo. Don't mention it, it's not bad that she doesn't bother the chief. You still have less contact with her. It's okay to chase after your territory and make trouble with you. Boss Nyoto persuaded softly, as if you were doing your own thing. Looking at the expression of Boss Nyoto, Fang Hao was more interested in Njia. It seems that the copper bull Tarok has nothing good to do with this orc girl. Soon, the bartender who went to the warehouse to prepare the seasoning came back. The large and small packages are all seasonings prepared for Fang Hao, as well as the essence of wine. The boss quickly calculated the price and said, 220 war coins. Okay. Fang Hao didn't talk nonsense, and directly took out 220 war coins. Pack all the items into the backpack. Transaction complete. The game at Njia's table was also drawing to a close. He was still in high spirits just now, and the momentum that was about to turn the world around has long since disappeared. At this time, his forehead was covered with sweat. When he lost the last piece in his hand, he looked at Fang Hao and began to dodge. It seems that your luck is not good. Fang Hao said. Yes, there are some differences. Njia replied. According to the agreement, you have to go with me. Fang Hao stood up and was about to leave. Hearing Fang Hao's words, Njia panicked. She wasn't afraid of Fang Hao, but this was Tarok's territory after all. It's hard to say that Tylock won't interfere with the agreement he made with Fang Hao in front of everyone. At that time, if I really forced myself to accompany this human for 3 days, wouldn't I have no chance to even run? Njia rolled her eyes wide and hurriedly said, wait, my luggage is still in the guest room, I'll go get it ready. After that, he went straight to the second floor. Only Fang Hao was left standing in the lobby of the tavern, watching the back disappearing upstairs. Fang Hao just sat down. Boom. There was a sound of heavy objects falling outside the window. Immediately afterwards, a figure was seen, carrying his own package, riding his horse and whipping his whip past the window, heading towards the city gate. Leaving behind a cloud of smoke, Fang Hao stood in front of the window, his eyes widened, slim body, white hair, animal ears. Damn, this little girl ran away. In the pub, there was a moment of silence. Next, the orcs in the audience burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. This fits Njia's character very well. Everyone seemed to have guessed that Njia would not fulfill her promise honestly. As she did, Boss Nyoto came out and persuaded, "I will talk to the chief about this matter, and see if there is any way to compensate you." "It's okay, it's just a little money, don't bother Chief Tarok." Fang Hao said calmly, looking at the direction Njia was leaving. After speaking, he walked out of the tavern and walked quickly to the place where the carriage was parked. After seeing Bolton, he said directly, "You lead the team, everyone out of the city." "Yes, my lord." Bolton replied and began to organize the return trip. Compared with the 120 pig-headed people when they came, there were 42 more bunny girls when they returned. The pig people acted as guards, and the carriage pulled the rabbit girl and began to return. Fang Hao lay on the carriage and directly cast Shen Lin, descending on the skeleton giant bat camped at the mountain kernel. "Control the giant bat to fly into the sky and start looking for Njia who is out of the city." Soon, Njia's trace was found. Njia did not take the main road and plunged into the woods. The horses were tied aside, but he climbed to the top of the tree and looked at the man in market. "If you don't stand on the tree, it's really hard to find her in the air. See where you're going." After confirming Njia's position, Fang Hao began to command the skeleton army to intercept. Riding out of Manim, Njia plunged into the woods, looking back at the city that was gradually receding behind him. A disdainful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This ignorant human being really wanted his old lady to accompany him for 3 days. "When you come out, the old lady robbed you of all your money, then pulled it all out and threw it on the road." Njia said through gritted teeth, "It's not the same escape as everyone thinks." Njia didn't want to run away, she just hid in the woods and waited for the human team to come out of town, and then grabbed all his goods. She could hear it in the tavern. "This human being is quite rich, and the war coins are all moved out in boxes. As long as you rob him, then the money will not be yours." The more she thought about it, the more excited Njia became. He tied the horses aside, climbed up a tree, and looked at the location of the gate of Manim City, not believing that the human would not come out. Time passed by minute, and Njia was sitting on the branch with the grass roots in her mouth and swaying her legs boredly. "Is this human dead inside? Why hasn't it come out yet?" But as soon as he finished speaking, his face suddenly changed. She suddenly felt a slight tremor, followed by the rushing sound of densely passing through the bushes. Immediately looking around, I saw a dense army of skeletons surrounding her and gradually closing the circle. "Njia is stupid." He rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Under what circumstances? How could such a large-scale undead army appear here? It is simply impossible. But when I opened my eyes again, the undead army still existed and was rapidly approaching, a posture to capture her alive. "Damn, my mother is losing money today, so I have nowhere to let go." Njia scolded. He untied a pair of tiger fingers from his waist and put them on his hands. In the next second, he jumped directly from the tree and punched the skull of a skeleton. Click. There was a cracking sound, and the skull shattered. This kind of injury does not affect the movement of the skeleton. He raised the iron sword in his hand and cut off his head. Njia slipped, twisted her waist and turned her elbows. The entire head of this skeleton flew out like a ball, and its body instantly fell apart into a pile of bones. Dang dang, bang. Then, countless skeletons rushed towards her, and Njia also started to kill in the sea of skeletons. But gradually, Njia realized something was wrong. These skeletons killed more and more, as if they would never finish. With the battle, her body gradually became injured, and her physical strength decreased rapidly. Suddenly, Njia saw a skeleton with blue fire in the skeleton team, and raised a middle finger to her. "Kindness." Boom! Wandering for a while, an iron shield hit her on the forehead, and the shield slam effect was triggered, causing a brief dizziness. Taking this opportunity, the sea of skeletons quickly drowned her. Layers were stacked on the grass, like a stack of arhats, pressing her under him. Next, under the command of the blue fire skeleton, Njia was tied up with hemp rope and tied several layers over and over again. Even so, Njia still did not give up the struggle, and scolded, "Let go of me, you rubbish. If you have the ability, let me go, let's fight again." But how could the skeletons understand this, standing there dumbfounded, guarding the prisoners in front of them? "I do not know how long it has been," Njia scolded the class, so she could only shut her mouth first and regain her strength. At the same time, he was thinking about how to escape from here. These skeletons are just like fools, no matter how much they scold them, they don't know why they want to catch themselves instead of killing themselves. Just when I was thinking about it in my head, the sound of rolling ruts came from behind. Then, a familiar voice suddenly sounded. Miss and Jia, isn't it a little rude to say goodbye like this? Chapter 98, Douya One Family. You are listening at novelfold.audio. Fang Hao walked around to Jia from behind. Seeing Fang Hao, Jia's expression instantly became a little excited, and she roared, "So it was you, you despicable villain, who actually manipulated these undead to fight with me. If you were a man, we would fight alone. What do you mean by my scumbag? According to the agreement, you will be mine for the next 3 days. You can do whatever you want. Didn't you say it yourself?" Fang Hao sat down in front of Jia, his eyes straight look into each other's eyes. Then, I'll give you the money back. Jia raised her head, and I spoke with a face full of words. Fang Hao was almost amused by Jia. Do you look silly yourself? He borrowed money from himself in the tavern, turned his head and ran away. I've been caught now, and it looks like you've wrongly blamed me. This is not an insult to his intelligence, indirect expression. You don't look very smart. You give me 40 war fire coins now, otherwise you can only go with me. Fang Hao said seriously, and Jia looked around at the undead army. I have some regrets in my heart. How can human beings manipulate so many undead? Who wants to go with you? I don't have any money now, but I will pay you back with interest, I promise. Jia continued, she didn't even lose her money. Where can I return the money to Fang Hao? Fang Hao sneered and said, then there is nothing to say, kill her and go back and make a skeleton. As soon as the voice fell, the skeleton soldier on the side immediately raised the sharp blade in his hand. Wait. Jia shouted loudly. Fang Hao stopped the skeleton, smiled, and said, it's all right, it's just a pain, it'll be fine later. What the hell are you doing? What good is it for you to kill me? Who will pay you back when I die? Jia growled loudly. Jia's heart is bitter. Is this mother still a person? Just for 40 war fire coins, he mobilized tens of thousands of undead to surround himself, and then killed her to make a skeleton. As for you know my secret, and I can't let you go. There's no other way but to kill you. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Jia said loudly. Kill her. Fang Hao ordered again, and the weapon just put down in skeleton's hand was raised above his head again. At this moment, Jia could only helplessly close her eyes. Wait, my lord, why don't you give her a chance? Let her become your slave and make up for it. The pig man Bolton hurried over and suggested softly. Fang Hao once again stopped the skeleton to be cut down, as if he was lost in thought, hesitantly asked, Jia, are you willing to sign a hero contract with me? Tears kept rolling in his eyes. Yin clenched his teeth tightly, and said fiercely, I'm willing to. After speaking, Jia could be heard sobbing softly. Fang Hao opened the Book of Lords and found the page, Hero Contract, came behind Jia, cut a small wound on her fingertips, and pressed it on the hero contract. In the next second, a faint light enveloped Jia and melted into her body. At the same time, Fang Hao also received a system prompt and obtained the hero Douya. The current loyalty is 55. Still really low. If there is no hero contract, it is possible to kill himself at a low point. The hero pact is similar to the slave pact. On the original affiliation, mandatory rules have been added. Just don't do anything that hurts the owner. Moreover, the master has the right to decide the life and death of the other party. Once the contract is signed, it means that he has lost his freedom and will be at the mercy of the other party in the future. After completing the contract, Fang Hao immediately checked the other party's attributes. Douya, Blue Tier 7 Hero, Faction, Orcs. Template, Blue, Racial Characteristics, Life, Anti-Poison, Aggressive. Legion Skills, Finding the Way, Infantry Commander. Skills, Fist Dance, Red Fangs, Fighting God Training, Not Afraid of Strong Enemies. Inherent Skills, Mastery of Advanced Physical Skills, Mastery of Advanced Tactics, Mastery of Advanced Physical Strength. Life, this unit can be healed, affected by morale, emotions, etc., and is immune to bone drowning and similar abilities. Anti-drug, after the poison occurs, in a state of unconsciousness, dilute the toxin in the body. Fighting, in excited state, all attributes are improved, not afraid of strong enemies, no matter how strong the opponent is, and Jia never backs down. Every step higher, the attack power increases by 10% to the maximum damage. Fist Dance, proficiently use physical techniques such as punching, breaking tiles, and landslides. Red Fangs, Elbow Strike, causing 200% damage. Battle God Cultivation, better control the boiling power in the body, and continuously cause damage to the enemy. Description: what? There are still living people in the Douya clan. The Douya clan is the most alien among the orcs. Anjia's attributes are not bad, the content that can be described always makes Fang Hao feel a little familiar. Alright, anyway, now he is his own hero, although the loyalty is not high. Seeing Njema's silence and tears falling down, Fang Hao smiled bitterly, wondering if he was overly frightening. Untie her. The pigman pulled out the iron sword from his waist and cut all the ropes tied to it. After all, in order to subdue this Douya girl, the ropes were tied layer after layer. Okay, don't cry, my territory is pretty good, go there to make sure you don't have to worry about eating and drinking. Fang Hao advised, and Jia still did not speak, and wiped her tears with her sleeve. Bolton began to command the skeletons to sweep the battlefield. This battle also lost a lot of skeleton soldiers. There are bits and pieces of bones everywhere, as well as dropped equipment. When everything was ready, everyone got back on the carriage and rushed towards the territory under the escort of skeletons and pigmen. In addition to Njia who had just joined, there were also 42 purchased slaves. The rabbit clan, and Njia was just wronged in her heart and kept wiping away her tears. While the other bunny girls were frightened by the skeletons, their faces turned pale. They only think that they have been sold to a human master. Now they have imagined that they were sacrificed to some undead rituals, or killed them in a more cruel way. The body trembled uncontrollably. My name is Fang Hao, I have a piece of my own territory, and you can live there in the future. Fang Hao said aside, but the answer to him is silence, only the sound of the wheels rolling over the road and colliding with the soldier's armor. Simply, Fang Hao also closed his mouth, lying on the carriage, casually flipping through the Book of Lords, walked silently all the way. When they saw the territorial city, whether it was the rabbits or Njia, their expressions became more solemn. Is this a city? Still a kingdom of the dead? Layer after layer of skeleton soldiers began to patrol around the city, and the number had reached a terrifying level. The convoy passed the patrolling soldiers and went straight into the city. Okay, everyone, this is my territory, you are welcome to join us. Fang Hao introduced it enthusiastically. Dozens of people wept loudly from the tears of several rabbit people.